I broke my wrist. We're not going to mess with any of my big stationary power tools like the lathe or table saw. A different project today that doesn't require any heavy lifting or strenuous work. Last time you saw the laser engraver, it didn't have its enclosure or its exhaust. That goes around and out of the shop. I also bought a honeycomb for it. Seems to be a big improvement as well. And one of the things I love about the laser is literally any scrap piece of wood I've got can become a project. And this is just a scrap piece of plywood. It is 1/16 thickness. These are just magnets that kind of hold it. The plywood can warp a little bit. Focus the laser here to the material. Nice. We need to go over here and let me show you what we're doing. So this is the file, these are the specs for what I'm working on. And this is the actual design. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting out a couple of different earring shapes. I gotta tell you, it's not as exciting through this, but man, it's a lot safer.
Does that mean that you've done it now?
This is the third try.
Yeah.
It does work pretty fast though.
Yeah, at least unlike a Carvey where we're like, oh my gosh.
Oh no, it messed up the hole again.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It's so tiny.
Yeah, I think this, but look at it, it's off again.
Yeah.
It's off to the side. These flower ones are really neat looking, but it might be too intricate. You can see what was happening here is that it was like the cut kept getting shifted, which is interesting. And sometimes it was really extreme. And we didn't have the same problem with the butterfly wings. The first ones I cut out, I just thought they were a little on the big side. And then on the third attempt, everything worked out fine. Due to the shape of these pieces, when they were cut, they wouldn't necessarily fall all the way straight through. And so then when the shroud would come along, it would move the piece. So that's our best guess. Or maybe in the comments somebody can tell us another method for how to deal with that. Give them a little hit of spray lacquer. Let that cure. The next step is this conductive paint, because you can't electroform anything if it's not metallic. And so this allows you to electroform non-metallic objects. Now, I was going to thin it out, but it actually looks pretty thin. Yeah, that's actually a little thicker than I'd like. You can totally do it that way. It is a little wasteful. So let's thin it out a little bit. So that was 1 teaspoon of paint, and then we'll add 1 teaspoon of isopropyl alcohol, and that should give us a much more thinned out version of this. Yes. And it dries in about 3 minutes. So we're going to put the first one back in, and we want to basically do 2 or 3 coats on each of these. Better to have 2 or 3 light coats than a heavy-handed one. So they are dry, and you can see they're completely coated in the conductive paint. They are ready for electroforming. That's what we're looking for. Just give them a little twist here. If you do too much, then you won't be able to remove them once it's all plated. It's a very strange mobile. These are all going to float, and we should be able to use that to our advantage. I had to call in an extra set of hands. I couldn't do this by myself.
Okay, so how short do we want it?
Pretty short.
As long as it's not touching the butterfly, right?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it can
because the
touch
glass
butterfly?
bead isn't conductive.
Oh.
And so it's just a weight. I think we're good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That was fun.
Yeah. All we need to do now is apply some current. So here's a little power supply that I've got, and the red one goes to the large copper wire on the outside of the container, and the black one goes to the objects you're submersing. And this has been our sweet spot in the past, so we're going to go with that, 0.20 amps. And start. So copper, both from the copper coil and from the copper sulfite that's in the solution, will begin to plate the objects in there. But this is going to take a few hours to get completely covered. And you should be able to see a difference between where the paint is still visible and then the bright bits is where the object is now covered in copper. After they come out, I rinse them off with some tap water, and then I remove them from the wire. That's easier than other times. This one needs to be snipped. And this is real copper, it's not paint, it's not just going to rub off. And the nice thing about that is it also has the ability to patina. I took it out of the pot 2 days ago. Even in the last couple days, it has already begun to get some oxidation on it. And so now we can make some decisions. Here's one that I did a while ago, and you can see it's definitely got some age. All these dark spots here is where the tarnish is. And if you wanted to brighten that up, you just take a Dremel with the wire wheel attachment. And you can see how just a little hit of the wire wheel brightens that right up. We can hit them with the wire wheel, brighten them up a little bit. We can let them oxidize longer over time, or we can actually force a bit of oxidation on them. I picked up this patina solution for copper, brass, and aluminum, and hopefully we don't ruin them. A little water, and then we're going to add in about a teaspoon or so of our solution. And it's sulfur based, and you can tell that pretty quick when you open it because it smells like rotten eggs. This is Artsy Fartsy. When people talk about Artsy Fartsy, this is what they're talking about. Oh my gosh, that smells so bad. We're going to add a little bit more Artsy Fartsy here. Stir it up good. And we're just going to put the whole crew back in this time. Whenever you watch a cooking show on television, they're always like, oh, I wish you had smell-o-vision. You don't get to enjoy this. Well, you guys are stupid lucky. This is like smelly Uncle Steve fart. This is some bad mojo. And it says just to pat off the excess. I don't smell it. Oh good, I don't smell it anymore. Okay, so it's good to know it works and the smell's not permanent. Well, that's a bit more than I want. I want to pull it back a little bit. You can just hit that section with the wire wheel. I don't really want to, but I'm just showing you that you can. What's called the wire style earring. And it's just a matter of putting a hoop on. laser cut copper plated jewelry. I love it. The intricacy of the design that I'm able to get with the laser is so much more than I could ever do with a CNC machine, or frankly by hand, because I'm just not that skilled. If I was to hand these to somebody, they wouldn't say, oh, is that a piece of plywood? They'd be like, oh, that's copper. And I love the patina that the oxidation process gave us. And I wasn't sure there for a minute if that was the right decision or not, but it looks great. And I would even be happier if it went a little further, you know, to that green patina that you get. Like, I would be super happy if these went full Statue of Liberty. I think that'll happen over time. And if at any point along the way you want to halt that process, clear coat of finish, and I know someone's gonna ask, yes, I went ahead and cut a design, copper plated it, and added resin. Very hard to get it in those little tiny spots, but I was able to manage it. And what you can see here is it doesn't look bad. I think it has a pretty nice look to it. It reminds me of an enamel pin. But if you were to put a light behind it, that's when I think this pops. It actually gives me a vibe of a project that we did a while back, which was called faux stained glass. I think this has a potential to, you know, to scale this up a little bit. And so since I am still in a cast and will be in a cast for the next few weeks at least, and I'm unable to do anything with my large power tools, expect to see a couple more laser and maybe even more copper plating in the next few weeks, because I'm really enjoying it. If you are interested in either the laser that I'm using or the copper plating kit that I have, I'll put links to both of those down in the description. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, like it, share it. That helps me out a ton, and I will catch you next time.